What up, boys, and welcome back to yet another video. So in today's video, we're taking a look at a bunch of the stuff that has been data mined for Phase 3 Season of Discovery. And there's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool items, but keep in mind that this is still data mining, so some of these runes or new spells, they might not even make it to actual Season of Discovery, and they will never be implemented in the game. Some items might even get their stats adjusted before they actually make it to the live game. But regardless, there is a lot of cool stuff, and I'm excited to show it to all of you guys. Now, before we do that though, big thank you to every single one of you guys that has picked up a copy of any of the gold guides now during the 25% off Easter sale. So you can get the Season of Discovery Gold Guide, the one for retail, or even Cataclysm Classic for 25% off by using the discount code Easter. It's linked down below in the description, and just know that if you, for instance, pick up the Season of Discovery Gold Guide, it is getting a completely free update for Phase 3. So before Phase 3 launches, I'm going to update the Gold Guide with all the best farms and methods to make gold in Phase 3, and you guys that already have the book gets that sent directly to your email completely for free. So if that sounds interesting, you can find it with the link down below in the description. Now, since we're on the topic of gold making, the first thing that I want to talk about that's been data mined is the new supply turn-ins. So taking a look at this post on Wowhead, you can see that like most things have been data mined, probably all of the supplies. However, the amount of items needed for the hand-ins are all just set to 1. So you're obviously not going to be handing in 1 heavy mage weave bandage. It's probably going to be like 20, right? So just to get that out of the way. But it's interesting to see from a gold-making perspective what's needed for the new crates. Because you do have some items where you can invest into materials already. So if you look up the different materials to craft these different things, you can definitely make some smart investments right now going into Phase 3. I'm not going to go too much into details to each one of these, but a lot of them are just base materials that you get from gathering or some cooking and even first aid items. So it seems to be relatively decent when it comes to like actually filling up the boxes. Shouldn't be too tough unless you get like some of the thorium rifles or stuff like that. That's going to be quite costly to craft, but a lot of them are going to be relatively cheap to fill up the box. Now, next of all, there's a new world buff that's been data mined, and it's the Fever of the Temple Explorer. Increase your chance to strike a critical hit by 5%, increase all spell damage by 65, and increase all stats by 8%. Pretty big. That's a pretty cool buff. Once again, it's a 2-hour buff. And it will be cast in Capital City after the boss is killed. We still don't know where you need to be in order to get the buff. Like if you have to sit in Stormwind this time instead of like Ironforge and Darnassus, but on the Horde side, is it going to be Undercity? Like I have no clue. But at least it's a good buff, like 8% stat increase, 65 spell power, 5% crit. That's pretty huge and something that everyone is going to want to bring into the raid. We also have the new Nightmare Incursion loot and Emerald Warden reputation. That's the new faction with the kind of invasion nightmare portals that we go through and do different kind of things to get reputation, kill mini bosses, and so on. So you can see there's some pretty cool things. There's a staff right here, an epic staff with pretty high stats. There's a new rings, epic rings as well. There's new trinkets, 10 stam, increase your melee and range attack power by 70 on use. There's a bunch of really cool trinkets, so probably a lot of pre-raid bis items right here. You also have sets from this. However, the stats are not that great on this set, but there's going to be a lot of people probably leveling through doing this new event. So it's going to be a nice set to equip on a freshly dinged 50. But the people that's been doing like Nomer and have like Bis Nomer gear, then a lot of these items aren't too exciting actually. And it's a lot of them probably won't be like close to a pre-raid Bis on the armor slots, but the trinkets might be good though, and in some cases, like even getting your hands on a good spell damage weapon like the staff is going to be decent if you're not lucky enough with the BFD epic staff or the one-handed dagger in Nomer. But regardless, a bunch of items, the sets are pretty much the same, 2 set plus 10 stam, And then the 6 set bonus, if you wear the full set, is like increased damage and healing done by spells on it. And then you have the melee ones, which is just attack power. So pretty basic stuff. There's also new raid consumables and shoulder enchants in Phase 3. So you have these raid consumables, which they talked about in the introduction video, where you would obtain materials inside the new raid, which you could then use to convert to pretty powerful consumables. It's very interesting because that should hopefully take the gold cost to raid, like if you want to be stacked up on consumables, down. There's also new shoulder enchants, which is really cool, where you can get healing on shoulders, spell power on shoulders, or just attack power on shoulders, kind of like Soul Gurub. So you have new PvP sets as well. So you have this Blood Guard and Night Plate set. It's once again it's stam plus attack power on the gear. Pretty decent gear, and this is so you can have a more PvP stats when you actually do PvE, because everyone is just running around as glass cannons at the moment. So pretty cool with the rank. Like you can see the ranks needed to get the different type of sets, and there's also new like PvP items coming from the STV event that they just added new rewards at level 50. So they didn't make a new PvP event. We're still going to be in STV, but with new loot, which I don't mind. I think the STV event is pretty cool. It's actually PvP and not like Ashen Vale, where it's pretty much just a PvE event. Then we have like Sunken Temple raid loot as well. I mean, this list is pretty massive. Once again, these items are subject to change, but there's a lot of cool items like epic weapons, epic staff for feral druids, for casters, two-handed swords, one-handed swords. There's a lot of cool loot, but there's a lot of loot. So I'm going to leave this linked down below in the description if anyone wants to take a closer look at the gear. You have like this dagger, which is tailored, like increased fire spell damage. So it has like an epic dagger with fire spell damage for locks or mages. Pretty cool. Like there's a lot of cool loot. There's a bow here as well, epic with agility and range attack power, 3 attack speed. There's a lot of cool loot. Epic chest as well. There's actually a healing epic as well, like a one-handed healing weapon, which is pretty cool. So the healers don't have to steal the spellcaster loot. Then we have new item appearance, and that's pretty much just a bunch of the items that you just saw from the different sources, but you can see how it actually looks, like the visual look of the different items. I mean, classic so far in terms of item look has been pretty dull. Like, I'm not too excited about a lot of these items either, though. They're not, like, super cool, but it's classic. You're supposed to look like an absolute clown until you get yourself, like, a full set and an actual, like, end game raid weapon. Then we have the PvP items, as we talked about. There's a new feral weapon, new offhands for druid. The hunters actually get 2 ranged weapons now, one for melee hunter, one for ranged hunter. And then the casters is pretty boring. Like the casters, just like last time, they just got different rings depending on which spec you play. Paladins get Libram, they get Healing Trinket, 2 different swords, one for tanking and one for ret paladins. Priest, a healing ring and a shadow spell damage ring. And then rogues, they get a sword and they also get the dagger. But this is pretty cool. Chance on hit, increase run speed by 40% for 10 seconds. Like that is really cool. I really like that effect right there. Shamans as well, they get a relic, they get a trinket, and then they get the mace. And then we got warlocks, exactly the same. Fire spell damage, shadow spell damage. Warriors actually get a shield, they get a two-hander, and they get a throw weapon, which has an on-use effect. Hurls the spear at the target, immobilizing them for 5 seconds. That's really damn good from a PvP perspective. And then we have even more stuff. There's Dark Moon Fair trinkets as well. Epic trinkets. So you have this one. Chance on successful heal to restore 8 energy, 1% mana, or 4 rage. Really cool. Because you can, if you struggle with mana, you should be able to use like super low ranked spells in order to restore mana. Really cool. Then you got this one. Spells and attacks sometimes leech HP from the target and applying a stack of DK. When the decay reaches 5 stacks, the target takes... We don't know the actual numbers yet, but really cool. And chance of spell and attack to summon a sandstorm that circles you, dealing nature damage to target that passes through. I wonder if that's going to be good for tanks running around with this to help with some AoE threat, unless you play a paladin. And then you have gives the wearer a chance on attack and spell to cast to torment their target, causing them to wander in suffering for 3 seconds. And we got even more stuff because there's profession items as well. So as they said in the video, there's alchemy flasks coming now where you have like an unlimited flask. Really cool. I really like that. Enchanting as well has items now. Engineering gets all the love once again with new bracers instead of belts. Blacksmithing, they get shoulders. And then leatherworking gets shoulders. Pretty much every profession gets shoulders, just like we had the helmet now and used to have the gloves or chest and whatnot in the previous patch. So each profession gets a crafted epic. Really cool. To finish this off, we also have runes, right? Now, we don't know how to obtain these runes. We don't know if there's even more runes or if like the stats on the runes or the effect, if they're like accurate at all. But there's a bunch of them. There's also runes that we have had like previously, but they've been changed slightly. So I'm going to leave this down below so you can go to whatever class you play and take a look at the new runes that's coming. But it's very clear that we're getting runes for bracers, helmets, and there's also some pants ones that are new right here. So a lot of really interesting runes coming in phase 3, so I'm super excited to see how that plays out. But I'll leave some links of interest down below in the description. I appreciate all of you guys watching the video, and as always, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that way you'll be notified as soon as the next video drops. And feel free to check out the complete gold guide for Season of Discovery with the link down below in the description. And don't forget to apply the discount code Easter for 25% off. Now, appreciate you guys watching. See you all back in at tomorrow's video. But until then, bye-bye.